Hi you guys, what is up and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about how I went about losing muscle in my thighs. And before I even talk about the how-tos and everything, I really want to emphasize that I love my thighs, I love my body, and if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen this post that I posted a few months ago where I was working on losing muscle in my thighs, which I can't believe that that was even a goal I ever had. I mean, I can, but my whole thing is about building muscle. However, given that I used to be a very competitive fencer, which is a quad dominant sport, and I also tend to be quad dominant anyways, and I retired from fencing, I was sort of left with the kind of body of a fencer, which I loved for 18 years of my life. I cherished it, I was proud of it, I felt sexy in it, but it was just time for me to move on and try something new and experiment. And so I thought, okay, I want to have a more asymmetrical body whereby my upper body is a little bit more stronger and my lower body is a little bit less strong, so that it just appears a little bit more, just a little more balanced and healthy. The amount of muscle that I had in my thighs was the amount of muscle you need as a very competitive athlete in the sport of fencing. I mean, top level, you need a ton of muscle for that sport, so it wasn't serving me, it wasn't serving a role anymore. And on the emotional side of things, it was actually just a constant daily reminder that I wasn't fencing anymore, which was my choice, but for something that I did for my whole life and that my identity was pretty close to, I wanted to have the opportunity to have a new identity and kind of grow and change. So I thought, I'm gonna try this fun thing where I have a different kind of body recomposition and I'm gonna lose some muscle and fat in my thighs and I'm gonna build my upper body. So it's not that I even have like stick thin legs or anything like that, and I wasn't trying to be thin. I am still a thick girl. I was kind of born with quad dominant, just quads that are stimulated very easily and can grow very easily. And you know, my thighs always touched as a young girl. I just always had muscle in my thighs. I still do, and I don't want to lose my thighs or my quads. I really like being thick. I like being built and muscular while also being lean and having a lower body fat percentage to show off the muscle. That's just what I like and what I think is aesthetic. And something that has come up for me is that a lot of you guys have been asking, especially when I posted that pic, but just recently, people are asking, as petite women, how can I cut down my thighs a little bit? How can I kind of just get rid of some of the muscle or fat that's there? So today, this video is gonna be all about how you can go about losing a little bit of fat or muscle in your thighs as a petite woman if you feel like that is the area that you're most insecure about, or you feel like you want to work on that. Always ask yourself why you're doing something, why it's important for you to work on your body. If you think that it's going to bring you any type of mental happiness to look a certain way, unfortunately, this video is not about that. It's really just about experimentation and fun and feeling strong in your body and learning about your body as it responds to certain stimulus, cardio, strength training. So that, I just challenge you and I just prompt you to think about why you want to get rid of muscle in your thighs or fat in your thighs. And everyone always has a right for any kind of goal for their body. You have a right to have whatever kind of goal you want. That's something that when I finally announced that I was going to try to lose muscle in my thighs, I was actually pretty nervous and I felt like the goal wasn't legitimate or wasn't okay. And I realized that's so silly. People have goals all over the map and you should be able to have whatever goal you want. And that means I do too. And of course, I'm not trying to lose any more muscle in my thighs at this point, but I did lose a few pounds of muscle there. So if you are interested in losing muscle in your thighs, we are gonna jump into, I'm gonna just run you through some steps and things that you will have to take to get to that point. So I will start off by saying that this process I hired a coach for because never in my life had I actually wanted to lose muscle. So I hired a coach because this is what I knew. If you want to lose muscle, that is by nature catabolic, which means you're breaking down tissue. I knew that I would have to be in a deficit. I'd have to eat a lot fewer calories than I was used to. And if you guys have watched any of my videos, you know that when you eat less calories, you actually slow the metabolism. So this wasn't just a couple months where I was just gonna do more cardio. This was an intentional, okay, I'm going to be slowing down my metabolism a little bit to break down and get rid of some of the muscle, and then afterwards I'm gonna have to restore my metabolism and build it back up again. So you can't forget that step as a petite woman. You can't forget the step that comes after going through a deficit, a period of time when you're in a deficit. So the first thing I want to talk about is being in a deficit calorically and your nutrition also through the cardio that you're gonna be doing. So the three main ways that I achieved my body weight composition is from my diet, nutrition, from my cardio, and from my strength training. So with nutrition, you will have to be in a deficit, meaning eating fewer calories per day than at your maintenance level, than your metabolism, in order to lose the muscle. I never recommend that Petite's diet because it's not sustainable. But if you have a very specific reason for dieting, like I did, in a very specific amount of time, and you have a plan for keeping it sustainable and restoring your metabolism after you go through it, and maybe you have some support like a coach, like even I am a coach with many years of experience, and I thought, okay, gotta do this right, I'm gonna get some extra support. So with the diet, it's not just eating fewer calories, it's also making sure those calories are really, really high quality sources of nutrient-dense foods. When I went on my diet, I guess it was a diet, it was probably the only one that I did intentionally. I mean, of course, we've talked about this back in the day. I had tried juice cleanses, all that, but I don't do that anymore. So this was really the first time where I was like going to try to eat, and did successfully eat in a caloric deficit for an extended period of time. So eating wise, you should be consuming a high protein diet. You want to maintain as much muscle as possible in the rest of your body and lose as much fat as you can. When you go through a diet, you are going to lose muscle, and I was trying to lose a little bit of muscle mass, but also fat comes off. So when you're in a deficit, if you eat a low protein diet, you're encouraging muscle loss as well, and I was trying to build my upper body at the time. So make sure that if you go into a deficit that you're still getting really, really nice high quality sources of protein, such as chicken, fish such as cod and salmon. Those are great options. You wanna have ground turkey. Have that be the main thing at each meal so that you stay full and you're still promoting keeping the muscle tissue. I do need to also tell you guys, you cannot spot reduce fat or muscle, really. You can't do it. What you can do is encourage your body through being in a deficit, through your nutrition and your fitness levels. You can encourage your body to lose muscle, and you cannot stimulate certain muscles while stimulating other ones in order to encourage a muscle loss there. So as an example, I still squatted about once a week, very low weight, higher rep, more as like a cardio thing, but I pretty much like laid off a lot of leg work. I shouldn't say that. I just laid off of quad work. I still did some squatting. I didn't stop entirely. I still want muscle there, but then I worked a lot on my upper body. I was lifting 3 days a week on my upper body because I wanted to build muscle in my upper body and lose muscle in my lower body. So in terms of nutrition, you wanna make sure you have all the protein that you need, about a palm, or it really depends on the individual, but if you have a palm of protein at each meal or more, you should be okay. I made sure that I was very, very hydrated so that my metabolism wouldn't slow even further. I was drinking, and I still drink, about a gallon of water a day. I also made sure to get my healthy fats in and still have a balanced meals. Like I made in the last video, I like to balance my meals with carbs, fats, and protein. So I made sure I had enough carbs too. However, when I was going down into a deficit, we did it very gradually. So over the course of about 8 weeks, we decreased my calories. And this is gonna be different for everyone because everyone's metabolism is at a different place. For us petites, our metabolisms are around 1200 or about there. So going into a deficit might mean that you drop a little bit low. I did not drop below about 1400 calories because my metabolism was already pretty high. Luckily, I was at about 1600, so we were able to drop it down to about 1400 over 8 weeks. So gradually, incrementally cutting down the calories, keeping a really clean diet of really good protein sources and vegetables, and not, eating a lot of processed foods or dessert or anything. Yes, I was sometimes hungry, but for the most part, I was pretty satiated, just because if you're eating a really, really good diet of high quality foods, you're gonna be pretty satiated. And I wasn't in an extreme deficit. We did it really, really slowly. 2 months was a pretty long time to like gradually shave off some muscle. So nutrition first, you're going to have to be in a caloric deficit, and nutrition will help you do that. Second of all, the cardio. People ask me, how much cardio did you do to get this? It's funny because these are all the things that I discourage petite women from doing if they're trying to get in shape. However, this is just very specific to losing muscle in the thighs, or fat in the thighs too. However, this was more tailored to muscle because you could still lose a lot of fat at your maintenance level. You wouldn't necessarily have to go into a steep deficit. The cardio aspect of this is not what I recommend unless your goal is that you're specifically really trying to lose muscle mass in your thighs. I was doing a lot of low intensity, steady state cardio. So that was incline treadmill walking for me. I was walking about 12.5 incline, so it's 125% incline on the treadmill at about 2.7 miles an hour. So like a walk for, we increased this number over time. So we started off with just a couple maybe it was like 20-minute sessions a week, and then it increased up to 200 minutes. By the end of 8 weeks, I was at 200 minutes. So if you're creating a plan for yourself, look at an 8-week span, increase the amount of cardio. Do not do 200 minutes out of nowhere. That's going to mess up your metabolism, mess up your body. It's gonna be too much of a shock. Use too much stress hormones. So if you're looking at your cardio, look at an 8-week plan and incrementally increase the number of minutes of cardio you're doing until you start at 0 and you end at 200. And that is the phase of when you're really gonna be breaking down the muscle tissue. That's where cardio is important. Cardio also helps you get into more of a deficit. That's why I did not have to lower my calories below 1400. Really important. We manipulate our calories not just through our intake, but also through our expenditure through exercise. So when you increase your cardio, that's a tool for you to be able to eat more calories. But still, if you can still be in a deficit. So I was able to get just enough nutrition to be working on my upper body. It was like the perfect balance that we struck with my coach, but I was also in a slight deficit and doing more cardio to encourage the catabolic effect of exercise on my thighs to shed off the muscle over time in a healthy way. Also, I did weightlifting about 4 to 5 days a week. I did 2 leg days and 3 upper body days. So it was a split training, and at that time, like I said, I was really working on getting my upper body more built, and my lower body, I was still exercising. I still want to retain muscle, right? Like, this is not something to happen in a week or to try to lose all this muscle in a short amount of time. I really wanted to do it right and rebalance my body in the healthiest way possible. So I was still lifting with my lower half of my body, make sure I maintained my athleticism and everything. And that is what allowed me to achieve that over time. I lost about 4 pounds during this time, most of it probably muscle and a little bit of fat and overall, right when I kind of was happy with where I was with my thighs. And I had lost a good amount in my thighs. I feel like this is where I am today, is still thick, but it's where I naturally sit more or less, and I'm not fencing anymore. So say you've achieved your lower body recomposition, you've lost some muscle in your thighs and fat, you cannot stay where you are at that point. This is really important that you recover from this diet properly. So if you have just gone through a diet, you were doing lots of cardio, 200 minutes of cardio per week, and by the way, I should have said I broke that up into increments. So the most I would do is a 40-minute walk on the treadmill. Some of it was about 15 minutes or 10 minutes of HIIT sprints on the treadmill, only one of those maximum per week. The rest of it was low intensity, steady state to really emphasize the fat and the muscle loss, the muscle breakdown. So once you get to that point where you're happy, you don't want to spend any more time in that diet. It's just not going to be good for your metabolism as petite, and you will have a negative result. You'll end up putting it back on if you stay that low. So then my coach and I embarked on a reverse diet. So that's when you incrementally increase your calories. I'm still lifting a lot, doing moderate cardio. I pulled back on the cardio, so it was a lot less crazy, because that's not a lifestyle. That was definitely not a lifestyle I want to live or I suggest for anyone. And built my calories over the next about another 8-week period up to 2,000 calories. And this is, at this point, I was the leanest I've probably ever been. I was just super shredded, because at that point, after coming off of a deficit, my metabolism was slow. By increasing my calories slowly and lifting weights and eating really clean, I was able to speed up the metabolism tremendously. So my metabolism, your metabolism is not static. You can change it. So my new metabolism, my new BMR was actually about 2,000 calories. I had raised it. So there's no exact science to it. You cannot know without being in a lab exactly where your metabolism is. but however you've been consistently eating for a while, that's where your metabolism is gonna be. So if you've been dieting, your metabolism is gonna be low. If you've been increasing your calories, it's gonna be a little bit higher. If you just increase your calories without working out and you're in a surplus and you're not putting the calories anywhere, you will just gain weight in the form of fat. What you wanna encourage when you're going through a reverse diet is to gain weight in the form of muscle, or to stay where you are, gain some muscle, and you use cardio to continue to see fat loss. So where I am today, I still feel happy with where I'm at. I went through that last fall into the winter, and I'm no longer trying to diet or anything. I'm actually getting my calories back up right now. I just had the flu a few weeks ago, so I'm trying to get my calories up to the 2000s again, and I'm feeling really lean. I'm feeling really good in my body. So I hope that this helped you understand a little bit more behind the scenes of how I went through a body recomposition in my lower thighs. If you have any questions about how to do this yourself and you're not sure, I would say start looking at your nutrition, start looking at how much cardio you're doing, and make sure that if you do go down this road, that you have a plan for getting your metabolism back up afterwards, because I would not recommend this to petite women in general. It will slow down your metabolism. Generally, we don't want to lose muscle. We really need muscle. It's very precious for petite women, especially us. So if you guys have any questions at all, please leave me a comment below, and I'll talk to you guys really soon. Have a great rest of your weekend, and yeah, bye you guys.